On the 6th of July, the exiled Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, marked his 91st birthday by praying for peace at a ceremony in Leh, India. His life, guided by altruistic thought and the wish to help others, was celebrated across the country. As part of birthday celebrations, Tibetans burnt incense, chanted prayers, performed cultural shows, and paid tribute to the charismatic Nobel Peace Prize recipient. Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside South Asia. I'm Kripa. Let's get started. Sri Lanka was jolted by 2 days of clashes between rival groups of inmates at a prison in the coastal town of Negombo, which is about 35 kilometers north of the capital city, Colombo. At least 28 people were killed and more than 100 others were wounded in the prison riots. On the 7th of July, an investigation was launched into the deadliest prison riot in the island nation in years. Our next report brings you the details.
The notorious Negombo prison housed about 2,400 inmates, despite only having facilities for about 650. According to the Committee for Protecting Rights of Prisoners, this resulted in severe overcrowding. On the 5th of July, fierce clashes erupted between more permanent convicted prisoners and those under temporary detention at the prison, resulting in the death of 2 prisoners and injury to dozens others. The next morning, a second, more deadly round of clashes erupted, leaving 23 others dead. Reportedly, 7 guards were killed when they tried to break up the rioting. Police riot control squads, armed with batons, and police special forces too were rushed to the prison in a bid to control the riot. A preliminary investigation found that rival gangs had clashed inside the prison before overpowering guards, seizing their weapons and opening fire. On Tuesday, Justice Minister Harshana Nanayakara told the Parliament that a criminal investigation had begun alongside a government-appointed commission, further adding that inmates had also smashed a CCTV camera in the kiosk.
Their intentions are clear. They have completely destroyed the body scanner worth millions of rupees. They have destroyed all the CCTV systems. What they wanted to do was to undermine the running of this prison.
The Sri Lankan Justice Minister also told the Parliament that the fight had started with a few prisoners that leaked information of efforts to smuggle drugs into the prison to prison officials. The aggrieved parents of inmates also lamented the injustice and the unfairness of the system.
Those selling drugs are outside while those taking them are jailed. Why are they doing this injustice?
As police kept the area cordoned off, prison buses were seen transferring some inmates out of the facility. According to the Department of Prisons, as many as 734 prisoners were moved to 4 other prisons on Tuesday morning to reduce severe overcrowding at the Negombo prison. The next day, the remains of 7 prison officers killed in the prison riot were brought to the prison headquarters in Colombo for colleagues to pay their last respects. Promising that justice will prevail, the Justice Minister tried to console the distraught officers.
It is difficult for me to soften your sadness, but remember, we are there for you all. We will investigate. Justice will prevail.
Noteworthy is the fact that Sri Lankan prisons are operating at an estimated 4 times their intended capacity. The riots at the overcrowded Negombo prison has once again brought to the fore the issue of Sri Lanka's chronically overcrowded prison system. The question is, will the scale of violence and the number of casualties in the Negombo prison riot lead to a much needed overhaul in Sri Lankan prisons.
For a country as vast and geographically diverse as India, the arrival of monsoon signals both relief as well as testing times ahead. This year too, torrential rains have lashed India, leaving a trail of destruction in several parts of the country. From the hills of Kerala to the lowlands of Maharashtra, heavy downpours have triggered landslides, floods, and widespread disruption.
Despite India logging its fifth driest June since records began in 1901, the southwest monsoon, after a brief lull, arrived with renewed force, sweeping across central, western and northern India. Though the heavy rains brought much-needed relief from the scorching summer, they have also left a trail of destruction, with floods, landslides and disruption across several states. The Indian state of Kerala found itself hit the hardest this season. In the southern Wayanad district, a tunnel construction site near the Meenakshi Bridge turned into a scene of tragedy after hours of relentless rain triggered a landslide in the hills above. A huge mass of mud and debris came crashing down, blanketing workers and machinery, resulting in the loss of 3 lives and leaving several others injured. The incident occurred at the site of the Twin Tunnel project, which is expected to improve connectivity between Mallapuram and Wayanad. For the moment, however, construction has given way to a large-scale search and rescue operation.
There is an unfortunate disaster was happened in Wayanad. During the construction of the tunnel in Wayanad districts, there was an accident. Now 7 persons are in the hospital. 1 person is reported that he has died, and 7 persons are missing. Now the forces are there. From the Meenangadi, the Wayanad itself, there was a force. They reached on the spot, and another force will be reaching there within few minutes.
The disaster revived painful memories of the 2024 Wayanad landslides, which led to the death of more than 250 people. Wayanad remains Kerala's most landslide-prone district, with its steep slopes, fragile terrain, and incessant monsoon rainfall making it particularly vulnerable. But Kerala is only one part of a larger monsoon mayhem story unfolding across India. Across Maharashtra, days of heavy rains have disrupted daily life in the Mumbai metropolitan region, Pune and Nashik. The death toll from rain-related incidents over the past week has now risen to at least 20. In Satara district, 4 members of the same family died on the spot due to electrocution while trying to save each other. In Lonavla, a popular hill station in Pune district, rising water levels have forced authorities to evacuate residents and tourists from flood-affected areas. Emergency teams have been moving through flooded streets in inflatable boats and tubes, helping those trapped by days of persistent rain. The downpour has also hit transport links, with landslides along the Mumbai-Pune expressway forcing partial closures. The India Meteorological Department has warned that more heavy rainfall is likely in the days ahead.
The water level has been increasing since the morning because it has been raining continuously for the last 2-3 days. As soon as we called the rescue team, they responded very well. They reached the spot in an hour and rescued everyone.
In the western Gujarat state, incessant rains have triggered waterlogging and flooding. In Surat, heavy rainfall has overwhelmed parts of the city's drainage network. Low-lying areas, markets and major roads have been submerged, leaving rescue teams to use boats and inflatable dinghies to reach stranded residents. Moving north towards the Himalayan region, Uttarakhand has faced repeated road blockages after landslides, including along the Gangotri highway. Rivers flowing above the danger mark have added to the challenges, creating further risks for people across the state. In Jammu and Kashmir, flash floods in the Doda district damaged homes, swept away vehicles and left roads buried beneath mud and boulders. Several people have sustained injuries while rescue teams continue to assess the extent of the damage. The relentless rain has also washed away shops and residential structures, leaving behind a trail of devastation.
Every year, this problem of the roads getting flooded persists. On the other side of the road, authorities spent 2 crore rupees and installed a new pipeline, but there has been no improvement because of that. There's severe waterlogging. Even crossing the road and reaching the other side is difficult.
For India, monsoon continues to be a double-edged sword. Millions of farmers depend on the seasonal rains, while reservoirs, rivers and water sources across the country rely on this annual replenishment. Yet, the same rains that sustain agriculture and communities also significantly damage cities and villages. As extreme weather events become more frequent and more intense, India faces a crucial question. Is the country prepared for the risks that come with every monsoon?
Over the past few days, Pakistan has been rocked by a series of tragic incidents. A deadly roof collapse, a devastating bus crash, and a major militant attack. 3 separate incidents that have claimed more than 60 lives and wounded scores of others. But beyond the loss of life, each tragedy has exposed deeper problems that the country has been struggling to address for years. From plummeting safety standards to persistent security threats. Here's a report.
For Pakistan, tragedies caused by neglect are unfortunately not rare. The country is grappling with not one, but a series of devastating incidents that have once again put questions of safety and accountability under the spotlight. In Kana, a suburban locality on the outskirts of Lahore, an after-school tutoring center operating from a decrepit residential building turned into a scene of horror when its roof collapsed in the middle of classes. On the 30th of June, at least 14 children, most of them between 5 and 9 years old, lost their lives as the structure gave way.
This is a tragedy of unimaginable proportions. It's not only the families who have lost their children who have been devastated, the entire community has been left in mourning. The loss of 14 children is an irreparable blow. For us, it feels as though everything has been taken away.
As panic spread, it was the local residents who reached the building first. They dug through the rubble with their bare hands, desperately searching for the children trapped inside, until rescue teams arrived. Police, emergency workers and volunteers then spent hours clearing the debris, hoping to find survivors, the children who had gathered there for tuition that afternoon.
For our community, this is nothing less than a catastrophe. Some families have lost 3 children, while others have lost 2. Even the loss of a small pet bird can leave a family heartbroken, so one can only imagine the unbearable pain of parents who sent their children to study, never expecting that they would return home in coffins. For the families who have lost their loved ones, this tragedy has turned their lives upside down.
As investigators began piecing together what happened, disturbing details started to emerge. Eyewitnesses said repair work was being carried out on the dilapidated roof even as lessons continued below. Preliminary findings suggest the tutoring center was operating from an unregistered private house that was decrepit and unsafe.
Everyone knew that the condition of the building was very poor, but we had no choice except to enroll her in tuition there. We chose it because it was close to our home, so she wouldn't have to travel far to study. Given the circumstances, we preferred a nearby place so that her mother could easily drop her off and pick her up.
Authorities have since sealed the building, registered an FIR against 5 people, including the teacher, and arrested 2, one of whom is the owner of the building. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and President Asif Ali Zardari have expressed their condolences and directed that the injured receive the best possible medical care. But before the country could come to terms with the deaths of these children, another tragedy unfolded. On the 3rd of July, an intercity passenger bus travelling from Quetta to Islamabad veered off a mountain road and plunged more than 20 meters into a ravine in Danasar, a remote area near the border of Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces. At least 40 people lost their lives while several others were injured. Officials pointed out that the bus had picked up extra passengers after another vehicle broke down, making it overloaded as it travelled along the treacherous route. Rescue teams from several districts were deployed to the remote site to recover the dead and evacuate the survivors. The two tragedies within a span of 4 days have raised familiar, disturbing questions. Why were children allowed to study inside a building that was undergoing repairs? Why was an overloaded bus allowed to continue its journey on a dangerous mountain road? These are eeringly familiar questions that have followed many such tragedies across Pakistan. Building collapses have repeatedly been linked to dilapidated infrastructure, poor construction practices, and ineffective enforcement of building regulations. Road accidents too remain a persistent problem, driven by overloaded vehicles, deteriorating roads, reckless driving, and lax implementation of traffic laws. For the families who have lost their loved ones, however, these are not questions of policy. They are personal losses that have left dozens of households in mourning. And as the country continued to reel from these tragedies, compounding the grief and anger was yet another incident of militant violence. On July 7th, dozens of insurgents stormed a police post in Ziyarat district of Balochistan, leading to a fierce gun battle that killed 9 police officers. Several others were wounded, while 8 officers were abducted before later being recovered by security forces. These incidents once again highlight the multiple challenges Pakistan is confronted with, from failures in building safety to poor condition of roads to the persistent threat of militancy. They have exposed fatal flaws that proved costly. As the country mourns, the government is facing pressure to take measures that prevent similar disasters, because without meaningful change, history risks repeating itself in the same tragic ways.
The Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO of the United Nations, has declared 2026 the International Year of the Woman Farmer, in an apparent bid to highlight the unsung role of women in supporting food security across the world. Our next story shines a light on the vital role of the Afghan women farmers as well as the Afghan returnees.
Nuristan province, the remote mountainous region in northeastern Afghanistan. Among the snow-capped mountains, women farmers are playing a vital role in their community's survival. Here, the fields are exhibiting the first faint signs of growth, with small green sprouts emerging around the villages. It is to be noted that despite being banned by the Taliban government from most employment, women are generally allowed to farm in Afghanistan, bringing joy and pride to women like 46-year-old Habiba, who has been farming for decades.
When we harvest wheat, beans, potatoes, and corn in the fields in autumn and bring them back home, we feel happy. When we go to the field and work so hard, and afterwards, when we see the harvest resulting from our hard work, we feel proud.
In the Parun Valley, for generations, tasks have been divided between men and women. While women keep themselves busy with agriculture, planting, giving water, and harvesting, men help with animal-drawn plows, handle livestock, and gather firewood for winter, when snow cuts the valley off from the outside world for almost 6 months.
If the women did not work on the fields and did not harvest wheat and other products, we would not have food anymore in the middle of winter. The management of the food is in the women's hands. For this reason, there is a lot of respect for the women.
In a country like Afghanistan, where, according to the United Nations, almost a third of the population needs emergency food aid, the vital role being played by the women in supporting food security cannot be overemphasized. The contribution of Afghan women in the economy of their country, still in the grips of a humanitarian crisis, isn't limited to far-flung rural regions. 21-year-old Fatima Ibrahimi is among millions of Afghans forced to return from Iran. But unlike many, she has found a rare glimmer of hope in a stable job at a dried fruit factory in northern Balkh province, in a country where the doors of high schools and universities are closed to women and girls over the age of around 12. Job opportunities like the one at the dried fruit factory are most welcome and satisfying.
Not allowed to get an education. It is an opportunity that we get to work here, and we are satisfied with our work.
More than 6 million Afghans have been pushed back to their homeland, where jobs are few and the risk of economic destitution particularly acute for women. Since the Taliban government took power in August 2021, aid budgets have been slashed, and the Trump administration cuts last year have only worsened the situation.
When we first came from Iran, we did not have money and enough food, but now because of working here, we can have food now, and it has improved.
With another 2 million Afghans expected to be pushed back this year, the need for work opportunities is only growing by the day. United Nations has called it one of the largest population repatriation movements globally. At a challenging time like this, the hard work and the resilient spirit of the Afghan women cannot be commended enough.
On the 8th of July, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during a 3-day visit to Indonesia, visited the Southeast Asian nation's largest Hindu temple complex, Prambanan, in the ancient city of Yogyakarta, to highlight the cultural cooperation between the two countries. As we wrap up, we leave you with visuals of Prime Minister Modi and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto unveiling a project aimed at conserving the ancient temple, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Take a look. I will see you next week.